Hey guys, welcome to the Max Invest YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing some predictions surrounding the Ethereum network for 2022. These are going to be fundamental predictions, so I'm not going to be talking about price in this video. However, I will be talking about a range of different things such as Ethereum 2.0, Rollups, DeFi, and NFTs. So hopefully this video is fun to look back on at the end of 2022, and I'll be able to see how much is correct and how much is wrong out of this video. Of course, if you enjoy the video, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, the links are down below in the description, and remember, nothing in this video is financial advice. The next prediction that I want to make is surrounding NFTs. Right now, most people use NFTs for one of two things. They use NFTs for gaming, and they use NFTs for buying and selling digital pieces of art. Now, I'm very bullish on NFT gaming going into 2022, and I do believe that NFT gaming will continue to grow and there will be more and more volume traded for NFT gaming. However, regarding digital art, I'm a bit more bearish on it. I do think that most of the digital art trading that happened in 2021 was highly speculative, and I do actually believe that a lot of these artworks will go to zero and a lot will fall substantially. Of course, I do believe that some of the big and well-established pieces of digital art, such as Bored Apes and CryptoPunks, will probably go up in dollar terms. I do think that CryptoPunks, Bored Apes, and the well-established pieces could have a good year. However, for the majority of the other NFT pieces, I do think that their floors will probably fall a fair bit, and they won't go that well. Now, the next thing that I think about NFTs is people will find even more new and exciting use cases for NFTs. This idea was borrowed from Eric Wall, and what I believe is that there's going to be a bunch of different other ways to use NFTs, and these will take off a lot more. Of course, an NFT basically represents digital ownership on a blockchain. This means that any asset can be owned digitally on the Ethereum network. I do think that a lot more things will be turned into NFTs. We'll start seeing house deeds being turned into NFTs and used as collateral on decentralized finance, and we'll start seeing a range of other things turning into NFTs. I know a few big companies like LexisNexis and Microsoft actually want to start turning some of their goods into NFTs, and I think that this will really take off next year. For example, Microsoft have said that they want to start turning movies and books into NFTs, and the reason for this is to actually track the books, stop piracy, and allow individuals to resell these. Of course, I do think a bunch more things like this are going to start happening. We'll see movies, books, and a whole range of things turning into NFTs, and it'll show that there's a lot more use for NFTs than just digital art. That's my first big prediction next year. My next big prediction is that OpenSea are going to lose market share. If you trade NFTs, you'll probably know that OpenSea are basically a monopoly right now, and almost everyone uses OpenSea. I think that OpenSea's market share will drastically reduce, and it will be a little bit more of a competitive market in the NFT space, which will be overall very, very healthy. The reason for this is because the OpenSea team have indicated they probably won't be releasing a token, and I do believe that people will simply just fork OpenSea and then add a token on it, and even airdrop that token to original OpenSea users. So, I do believe OpenSea's market share will probably reduce next year as another prediction. Now, the next prediction that I have is I believe that the total value locked in decentralized finance will probably eclipse 250 billion. I think somewhere in the range of 250 billion to 500 billion for the Ethereum network will be highly possible in 2022. Now, an important thing to remember is DeFi Pulse doesn't include layer 2's, so I'm going to say that maybe DeFi Pulse won't say over 250 billion, however I do believe that if you add up the total value locked in Ethereum layer 1 and the total value locked in Ethereum layer 2, it should be over 250 billion by the end of 2022. We will need to wait and see how this plays out. The next thing that I predict is that Ethereum will transition to proof of stake in 2022. There has been no official release date. However, the majority of core developers in Ethereum think that Ethereum will actually be fully transitioned to proof of stake in roughly Q2 of next year. So this is still going to take 6 to 8 months to actually occur. However, this is when the core devs believe it will happen. Now, I do actually believe that this is probably going to be correct. Everything that I can see indicates that Ethereum will end up transitioning at this time. The code for proof of stake should be done at the beginning of February, and then it's just about getting all of the different validators and all of the different clients to start to sync to proof of stake, getting everything to come together and slowly transitioning over. So, I do believe that Ethereum will transition to proof of stake somewhere in 2022, and I would actually predict that this time is going to be roughly June to August of 2022 is when we'll start seeing that proof of stake merge. However, it could take a little bit longer if there are any delays, but we will need to see what happens at that time. Now, the next thing that I predict about Ethereum's transition to proof of stake is that it's not going to reduce the fees whatsoever. Essentially, the proof of stake transition doesn't actually reduce Ethereum's fees at all. Proof of stake isn't any cheaper than proof of work. So I do believe that Ethereum's fees on the layer 1 will just continue to go up over time. Ethereum will get more and more costly to use, and the Ethereum network will continue to make more and more revenue over time, which in my opinion is very, very bullish. A lot of people might be watching this and going, hey, that's bad if the fees continue to go up. That makes it too expensive for me to use Ethereum. However, I don't think this will be the case, and this is because I do believe layer 2's will start to take off next year, and the majority of our activity will be on top of layer 2's, and these layer 2's will be very, very cheap to use, which will be good for the Ethereum network overall. I'm going to link this person's Twitter thread in the description down below if you want to check out some of Eric Wall's predictions. However, I do agree with him here on this prediction. Essentially, what he said is optimistic rollups will take off, but ZK rollups won't really. Now, I do agree with this for a range of different reasons. The first reason is because I do think optimistic rollups are ready for 2022. The first optimistic rollup that was generalized that came out was Arbitrum on August the 31st. Now, since then, Arbitrum have been doing a lot of development. Arbitrum have been working on onboarding tons of different applications and doing a bunch of different stuff. However, I do believe Arbitrum is starting to get ready to actually get a lot of users on their platform. Now, the reason for this is because cool data depression for Arbitrum is already happening. It's getting cheaper and cheaper to use every single day. The bridging issue is 90% fixed. You can bridge over to Arbitrum very, very easily using Hop or Synapse protocol and a bunch of different bridges. However, the reason I really think Arbitrum will take off in 2022 is because of tokens and token incentives. I believe that Arbitrum is going to release an Arbitrum token within the next 4 months or so, and I believe that when they release this token, they are going to add a bunch of incentives on the network to get individuals using it. Now, if we look at all of the networks that have taken off, they've all used tokens and token incentives. For example, the second Polygon put token incentives in place, hundreds of millions of users just instantly started using the platform. The second Avalanche put incentives in place, the total value locked and the amount of users absolutely exploded. Essentially, once you put in token incentives, tons of people will come and they'll come to farm the liquidity. Of course, some of those people will leave the ecosystem. However, for a lot of people, once they've already bridged their assets over to Arbitrum, they farm some liquidity, well, what they'll think is they might as well keep some of their assets on top of Arbitrum. So, in my opinion, I think these optimistic rollups are ready for token incentives, and when they bring out those token incentives, their ecosystems will explode. However, I think that this will only happen when they bring out the token incentives. Right now, there's just not enough of an incentive to actually use these ecosystems, and once they can actually get all of this rolled out, I think it is going to work well. The next thing that I think will happen is centralized exchange bridges will go straight to a layer 2, which will be very, very good for the layer 2's in the long term. Now, the next thing that I did want to say is I do think that zero knowledge rollups will eventually eclipse optimistic rollups from all of the research I've done. However, I do think that this isn't going to happen next year whatsoever. And the reason for this is because there's no ZKEVM out right now. A ZKEVM essentially means that generalized applications can be put on top of a ZK rollup, and we're currently not at that stage just yet. However, optimistic rollups can do this. One of the great things about ZK rollups is they have recursive proving. What this means is that ZK rollups can scale exponentially. Essentially, a ZK rollup needs to submit a proof of the transactions to the base layer, and what recursive proving means is that ZK rollups can fit more and more transactions into a single proof hypothetically, and this makes proofs cheaper and cheaper to generate for the amount of transactions. However, right now, ZK rollups don't have recursive proving that are that good just yet. This means that ZK rollups right now are more expensive than they otherwise would be to use, so I do think it'll take a couple of years for this to actually occur. So in my opinion, optimistic rollups will have quite a good year next year, and ZK rollups definitely will not obsolete them. However, I do think ZK rollups will continue to develop, and they'll probably be ready in 2023 or 2024. The next thing I think is that optimistic rollups will not obsolete layer 1s. I do think that alternative layer 1s will continue to grow next year, and Ethereum's market share may even reduce. Now, the reason I think this is because alternative layer 1s are going to continue to have incentives programs, people will continue to want to be early, and right now the pie is continuing to grow. So there's more and more users every single year, and I do think that Ethereum and the other layer 1s can all grow in tandem next year. I do believe that eventually these alternative layer 1s will hit limits, these alternative layer 1s will no longer be able to operate, and I do actually think alt layer 1s will turn into Ethereum layer 2s. However, I would expect this to probably happen in 2024 or 2025, and definitely not in 2022. I do believe that every single crypto is going to either put rollups on top of it or turn into a rollup, as they are going to need to do this for long-term sustainability. However, I don't think this is necessary just yet, as these alt layer 1s are yet to hit limit. Now, the next thing that I predict will happen in 2022 is a ZKEVM. However, I do believe that this is going to happen in late 2022, maybe even early 2023, and I do believe once a ZKEVM comes out, it will really be on training wheels. There's going to be a lot of centralized guardrails in place, and it'll probably take until mid to late 2023 for ZKEVMs to actually be working very well. As we can see, ZK Sync, which is a team that are developing a ZK rollup, have said that they believe that they can get a ZKEVM out in 2022, so I am very excited for this. However, I do think that it will have a lot of guardrails, and not many people will use it at first. They will over the long term. Now, I want to end the video with a few short predictions. The first prediction that I have is governance for DAOs will reform. Right now, decentralized autonomous organizations simply work off token voting, and I do think there's a lot of reform for DAOs next year, and I think DAOs will get a lot bigger and a lot better. The next prediction that I have is essentially the exact same as Justin Bram's prediction, and Justin Bram did a video which actually made me agree with his predictions quite well. That'll be linked below in the description. Essentially, what he says is airdrops will change forever. Right now, there's way too many people farming airdrops, and a lot of these tokens will only be able to do very specific airdrops, or airdrops that are given to people who have used the protocols a lot. Simply using a single swap on a decentralized exchange probably isn't sufficient to get, say, an Arbitrum or an Optimism airdrop. You'll probably need to do a little bit more, and that's because there's way too many people who are farming airdrops right now. So I do agree with Justin that the dynamic of airdrops will change. I don't think that these protocols won't do an airdrop. I think they'll feel that they have to. However, it will probably be in a bit of a different and a bit more nuanced form. The last prediction that I have is right now everyone is using MetaMask. However, I think that more and more wallets will be used a lot more next year. I believe that my two favorite wallets are Rainbow and Argent Wallet, and a lot more users will come into crypto using these wallets. In my opinion, Rainbow and Argent Wallet are a lot more friendly for users, and I think that more and more people will use different types of wallets, which is overall healthy for the Ethereum network. Anyway, those are my predictions for 2022. It's going going to be really fun to come back and look at these predictions and see how right I am. Of course, if you enjoy the video, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.